Okay, this is the first video in my stories from the 80s and 90s that I'm going to be doing here on YouTube related to music. The year was 1987. I graduated from high school about a year before. And this is a picture of the band I was in at the time called Espionage. You got from left to right is me, Robert, Paul, and Steve. Steve was a really good guitar player back in the day. He could play leads like nobody else could at his age, 16 when I met him. And so how this the story's about a party, a huge party, hugest party I've ever seen in my life. My nephew's girlfriend knew this girl, couple girls that were going to throw a party. I think their parents were out of town, obviously. And so they invited us to play at their party. We only had one set. We ended up playing the set like 4 times that night, but that's another story. So we get invited to play this party. Well, yeah, we'll do it. I don't think we had played many gigs up until that point. Maybe just a few. And so it was like, I think it was June, around June. High school had been out for a couple weeks, maybe a week or two. Actually, it might have been an end of the high school year party kind of a thing. So it was just out. And I went there with somebody else. I think me and Steve went there to recon this party. See where we were going to set up beforehand. About 4 or 5 days beforehand, we were there checking out the layout. There was a patio area which we would be set up on. And actually, I'll go to the next page. That's my Marshall rig back there at a full stack back then. I only have one picture from that party, and it's right here. Somebody snapped this one of me, and I got that. So we're on this patio, and in front of the patio is pretty much a pool, but it's a little ways out, and then after that there's a grass, kind of a field, I guess. And I think a couple days before the party we had like 60 flyers, maybe 100 flyers, and we're like, how are we gonna get rid of these flyers? And it was the windiest fucking day that you had ever seen in Poway, California, where this all went down. So I think I or somebody else took the flyers. It was windier than fuck. We're in a parking lot. We just tossed them into the air, and those things blew everywhere. And so the night of the party, we start getting set up, and I think we did a little bit of a sound check, a quick one, because we didn't want to alert the police. So what ended up happening, we started playing, and then within an hour of us playing, the word of mouth had gotten out so extensively that we found out later from the police that they estimated that there was 3,000 people in attendance at this party. And it was kind of crazy. I didn't really see what was all going on because I was playing, but what I could see from my vantage point was people were swinging off ropes and landing in the pool. The pool was full of beer bottles. All the hole under the hole underneath the water on the bottom of the pool, just loaded with beer bottles. There was people watching the band. There was people drinking, kind of listening, kind of not watching the band. There was people out there making out. I mean, probably some babies were conceived during this night in odd places and crevices and corners of the whole operation. Back there, you see my nephew. He's hanging out in the back of my amplifier. He was the band's kind of drum tech. He played drums, and he would help Paul set up his drums. That's my case back there. That's my Marshall. That's my old Ibanez Roadster 2, I think. Looking back, it was really crappy bass, but best thing I had at the time. And so we were playing about 3 sets, and things were going good. There's a lot of people there, and we were getting some exposure finally. And during the last song, the last set, well, prior to that, on the last set, some other band showed up. I don't know if they were invited or whatever, but I think it was high school's Outrage. A guy named Rob played bass in this band, and I remember him watching me. I had the opportunity to watch this guy play the quad. Back then they wouldn't let a metal band, of course, play it at the high school. But Outrage, they were like the in thing. They were in with the in crowd, student body presidents or whatever have you. And so they were on the quad like 3 or 4 times, and I don't really know how to describe them. Kind of like It wasn't even post-punk era, but they had that post-punk sound. They did like a 45 Grave cover, that kind of thing, I think. They were kind of weird. But I remember their bass player like watching me. It was kind of funny. I don't know what he thought. So they were on the side waiting for us to finish, and we told them, yeah, we got one more song and we're going to be done. And so I'm playing along, and all of a sudden I look up and there's this cop right in my face with a flashlight. And I look around, there's cops everywhere. And they're telling us, cut the music. So of course we do what they say. We cut the music, and they just tell us, party's over, everybody go home. And I guess from what I heard later, it took them 3 hours from the point that they arrived down on the main street, and there was like a little hill incline, probably about 100 yards up from the main street. And there were so many cars packed in there, it took them like literally 3 hours to, I think they were towing cars, strategic cars, to get a path so that they could even get up there with their vehicles. And so, yeah, party was over. I think we went home, and that was like a legendary party that was discussed for many years. If you were in attendance at that party, definitely comment or get a hold of me and tell me what you saw while you were there, because it was crazy. Anyway, that's the first story, short little story. I'll be in the future, I will be talking about kind of an overview of the San Diego music scene, the kind of bands. There was like 3 basic tiers to that whole scene until it developed into a permanent one. And I'll be talking about the night I hung out with Korn before they had their album come out, and lots of other good stuff. So that's it for this one.